He walked in like sin in a suit. No name, no smile, just eyes that didn't blink. They warned me about men like Raphael. I didn't listen. If you've ever wanted something you knew could destroy you, watch this. Like, comment, and subscribe for more dangerous love stories. My name is Caspian, and I've been tending bar at the Meridian in Savannah for 3 years. It's the kind of place where old money meets new secrets, where conversations happen in whispers and everyone pays in cash. I thought I'd seen every type of man walk through those mahogany doors. Then Raphael appeared. He didn't enter, he materialized like smoke given form. Midnight hair slicked back, suit that probably cost more than my rent, and eyes the color of storm clouds. He took the corner stool, the one that gave him a view of both entrances, and waited. "What can I get you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Surprise me." His voice was velvet over steel, with just a hint of an accent I couldn't place. I mixed him something complex: bourbon, blood orange, a touch of smoke. When I set it down, our fingers brushed. The contact lasted a fraction of a second, but it burned. He sipped once, nodded approval, and left a $100 bill for a $15 drink. No words, no explanation. Just those eyes holding mine for a moment that felt like eternity. After he left, my hands shook for an hour. Raphael came back 3 nights later. Same stool, same silence, same drink. This time he stayed longer, watching me work with an intensity that made my skin prickle. Every move I made felt deliberate under his gaze. The way I shook cocktails, how I laughed with other customers, the careful dance of closing time. "You're very good at your job," he said when the bar was nearly empty. "Thank you. But you don't belong here." The observation hit deeper than it should have. "What makes you say that?" "Your hands." He gestured to where I was wiping down glasses. "They're too careful. Too gentle. You're afraid of breaking things." Maybe I just respect what I'm handling. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe approval. "Maybe you do." When he left that night, he placed his hand over mine on the bar. Brief, warm, electric. A promise or a warning, I couldn't tell which. I started researching Raphael Montrose. What I found made my blood run cold. Real estate mogul, they said. Philanthropist. But the stories between the lines painted a different picture. One of debts collected in ways the IRS didn't track, of businesses that folded overnight after crossing him. "You're playing with fire," warned Lila, my coworker, when she caught me staring at his photo online. "Men like that don't date bartenders. They collect them." But when Raphael walked in that Friday night, danger was the last thing on my mind. He was wearing jeans and a simple black shirt, looking almost normal except for those eyes that seemed to see straight through me. Caspian. My name sounded different in his mouth. "Walk with me." It wasn't really a request. I found myself nodding to my manager, hanging up my apron, following him into the humid Savannah night. We walked through the historic district, past wrought iron balconies and Spanish moss that hung like curtains in the lamplight. Raphael didn't speak until we reached Forsyth Park, deserted except for shadows and possibility. "You've been asking questions about me," he said. My heart stopped. Don't apologize. I would have done the same." He turned to face me, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive. "What did you find?" "Enough to know I should stay away from you. And yet here you are." The space between us felt charged, dangerous. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my feet remained planted. "Here I am," I whispered. His hand rose to touch my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone with devastating gentleness. "I've been trying to stay away from you too." "Why?" "Because men like me destroy beautiful things." Despite the warnings, his and my own, I couldn't stop gravitating toward Raphael. He started coming to the bar more frequently, sometimes just to watch me work, other times to talk in low voices about books, music, the way shadows fell across water. "You're different than I expected," I told him one night as we walked along the Savannah River. "How so?" "Gentler. More human." His laugh was bitter. "Don't romanticize me, Caspian. The things they say about me, most of them are true. Most? The important ones." But when he looked at me, when he touched my hand or stood close enough that I could feel his warmth, nothing else mattered. Not his reputation, not the danger, not the voice in my head that sounded increasingly like my survival instinct. It happened on a Tuesday night in October. The bar was slow, autumn rain keeping most people indoors. Raphael sat in his usual spot, but something was different. Tension radiated from him like heat from a fire. "Bad day?" I asked, sliding his drink across the bar. "Someone made a mistake today. A costly one." I didn't ask what kind of mistake, didn't want to know. But I saw how his hands trembled slightly as he lifted the glass, how his jaw clenched when he thought I wasn't looking. "Come home with me," he said when I finished closing. The words hung between us, heavy with implication. We both knew what he was asking, what it would mean. "Raphael, I know what you're going to say. That it's too fast, too dangerous, that you barely know me." His eyes found mine. "But I've never wanted anything the way I want you." The honesty in his voice undid me completely. His penthouse overlooked the river, all clean lines and expensive taste, but I barely noticed the decor. Raphael moved through the space like a caged predator, elegant and restless, while I stood frozen by the floor-to-ceiling windows. "Are you afraid of me?" he asked. "Should I be?" "Yes." The answer was immediate, honest. "But not for the reasons you think." He approached slowly, giving me time to run if I wanted to. I didn't want to. When he reached me, his hands framed my face with stunning gentleness. "I've never felt this way about anyone," he whispered against my lips. "It terrifies me." The kiss was soft at first, tentative, as if he expected me to disappear. When I pressed closer instead, it deepened into something desperate and consuming. We made love that night with an intensity that left us both shaking. Raphael's touch was reverent, worshipful, as if he couldn't quite believe I was real. In the darkness of his bedroom, with rain pattering against the windows, the dangerous man disappeared and left only this, tender, vulnerable, completely mine. Morning brought reality crashing back. I woke alone in Raphael's bed, the sound of hushed phone conversations drifting from another room. Words like problem and handle it, and permanently, made my stomach clench. When he returned, he was the dangerous man again, controlled, distant, already reaching for his suit jacket. "I have to leave town for a few days," he said without looking at me. "Business?" "Yes." The single word carried warning. "Don't ask. Don't dig. Don't try to understand the parts of my life that could get you killed." "Will you be here when I get back?" he asked, vulnerability cracking through his armor for just a moment. "Where else would I go?" Relief flickered across his features before the mask snapped back into place. Raphael was gone for a week. 7 days of bartending on autopilot, of jumping every time the door opened, of lying awake remembering the weight of his body against mine, the sound of my name on his lips in the dark. Lila watched me with growing concern. "You're in love with him." "It's complicated." "No, honey. Love is simple. It's everything else that's complicated." When news broke about a warehouse fire across town, about evidence that might have implicated certain unnamed businessmen going up in smoke, I knew Raphael was somehow involved. The knowledge should have sent me running. Instead, I counted the hours until his return. Raphael came back changed. Harder somehow, more guarded, but when he looked at me, his expression softened into something that took my breath away. "I missed you," he said, pulling me against him in the empty bar after closing. "Show me." He did, right there against the bar where we'd first met, desperate and claiming and perfect. Afterward, as we lay tangled together on the leather banquette, he traced patterns on my chest with trembling fingers. "I'm not a good man, Caspian." "I don't care." "You should." "Maybe. But I don't." He was quiet for a long moment. "I've never had anyone who knew what I was and stayed anyway. Now you do." The test came in November when federal agents showed up at the Meridian asking questions about Raphael. They sat at the bar, ordering drinks they didn't touch, watching me with cop eyes that missed nothing. "You know Raphael Montrose?" Agent Martinez asked casually. "He's a customer." "Close customer?" I kept my expression neutral, continued polishing glasses. "He tips well." "That's all?" "That's all." They left eventually, but not before making it clear they'd be back. That night, Raphael found me at home, the first time he'd ever come to my small apartment above the tattoo parlor. "They came to see you," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes." "What did you tell them?" "Nothing." He was quiet for so long I thought he might leave. Then he pulled me close, burying his face in my neck. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so fucking sorry for dragging you into this. You didn't drag me anywhere. I chose this. I chose you." Christmas Eve and the Meridian was closed. Raphael and I were alone in his penthouse, the city spread out below us like scattered diamonds. We'd been together for 3 months, though it felt like a lifetime and an instant all at once. "I love you," he said suddenly, the words rough like they'd been torn from him. "I know. Do you? Because loving me comes with consequences. People will always be watching, waiting for you to become a weakness they can exploit." I turned to face him fully, seeing the fear beneath his controlled exterior. This man who commanded empires and inspired terror was afraid of losing me. Raphael. I took his hands, feeling the calluses that came from a youth he'd never talked about. "I've loved you since that first night. Not the dangerous parts, not the money or the power. The man who brings me coffee at 3 a.m. when I work late shifts. Who remembers that I hate roses but love peonies. Who touches me like I'm something precious." When he kissed me this time, it was with the desperation of a man who'd found salvation in the last place he'd expected to look. We made love with the intensity of people who knew how fragile happiness could be, how quickly it could be stolen. Later, as we lay intertwined in the aftermath, he traced lazy circles on my skin and whispered promises against my shoulder. About protecting me, about building something real together despite the chaos of his world. "I never believed in forever," he said. "Until you." Outside, snow began to fall, rare for Savannah, magical and impossible. Like love itself, I thought. Like finding light in the darkest places, like choosing to stay when every rational thought said run. Raphael had walked into my bar like sin in a suit, dangerous and compelling and absolutely wrong for someone like me. But sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is play it safe. Sometimes you have to risk everything for the chance at something extraordinary. In his arms, listening to his heartbeat steady against mine, I knew I'd made the right choice. We might be an unlikely pair, the bartender and the dangerous man, but we were real. We were forever. And that was worth any risk.